All right, we're going to get into temperature conversions today, and that's in section 2.7. So we know that there are three systems of temperature measurement that you're probably familiar with. Two of them I know you are, the other I'm not so sure. One of them is Fahrenheit, one is Celsius, and those two are really familiar to you, I'm sure. And the third one is Kelvin, and Kelvin is what we're going to be using in chemistry class. So if you look at three thermometers side by side, you'll notice that the boiling point of water in degrees Fahrenheit is 212. The freezing point is 32 degrees, and there's a 180-degree difference between the freezing point and the boiling point of water. However, if you look at the Celsius scale, which is also similar to the Kelvin scale, between 0 degrees Celsius and 100 degrees Celsius, which is the freezing and boiling point of water, there's only 100-degree increments, as there is on the Kelvin scale. That's going to mean that there's different formulas that have to be used in order to calculate the temperature in Fahrenheit, Celsius, or Kelvin. So in order to do that, you have to be familiar with the formulas that allow us to do that. So this is taking Kelvin, so this is temperature in Kelvin, and if I want Kelvin and I have Celsius, I'm just going to plug in my degrees Celsius, add 273, and that will be converted to Kelvin. If I have Kelvin and I want to go to Celsius, I'm going to take my degree Celsius or my Celsius degree and subtract 273 from it to get the temperature in degrees Celsius. These are easy to memorize, and this is just an easy algebra manipulation to get from this formula to this one. Down here, if we want degrees Celsius and we have Fahrenheit, we're going to use this formula. And if we want Fahrenheit and have Celsius, we're going to use this formula. Now notice that we can go from Celsius to Kelvin and Kelvin to Celsius, but we don't have that direct conversion from Fahrenheit to Kelvin. And we can go from Celsius to Fahrenheit, Fahrenheit to Celsius. So in order to go to Kelvin from Fahrenheit, you have to first turn it to Celsius and then change it to Fahrenheit. So let's do three problems real quick. And if you don't have these written down, the formula is written down on your conversion sheet. You need to go ahead and do that because I don't expect you to memorize these conversions. Okay. First exercise. It says the normal body temperature for a dog is approximately 102 degrees Fahrenheit. What is this equivalent to on the Kelvin temperature scale? So we want Kelvin and we're at Fahrenheit. So like I said before, we're going to have to take Fahrenheit to Celsius first. So I need to change it to Celsius and I know Fahrenheit. So I'm going to use this formula, T sub F minus 32 divided by 180. Once I get my temperature in Celsius, then I want to change it to temperature Kelvin. So I'm going to put in the Celsius temperature and add 273 to it. Okay, so let's go ahead and use this. Temperature Celsius equals, and that's going to be 102 minus 32 divided by 180. I'm sorry, 1.80. Okay, so one of the things that I want to bring out at this point is, remember the calculator is only as smart as the person putting numbers into it. So when you do this calculation, you can put this in your calculator all at the same time, but you have to make sure that your calculator knows to take 102 minus 32 first. So put parentheses around it to be able to do that. That's 70 on top, divided by 1.8, and we get 38.8, repeating your 89 degrees Celsius. And then we're going to turn around and we're going to take this and we're going to put it into this formula. So temperature Kelvin equals 38.89 plus 273. So our final answer in Kelvin is going to be 311.89. Now if we're doing sig figs, we're going to look back at our original problem, which is 102. That's three significant figures. So we want to take three significant figures out of this answer. So 1, 2, 3, we look at this. Is it 5 or larger? Yes, it is. So we're going to round that to 312 Kelvin. We don't put a degree sign, we just call it 312 Kelvin. And we're going to look at exercise number 2 next. It says 100 degrees Fahrenheit is what degrees Celsius? So we have Fahrenheit and we want to go to Celsius. So I'm going to choose the formula that is temperature Celsius that we just got through using, which is temperature Fahrenheit minus 32 all over 1.80. We're just going to plug that in. So it's 100 minus 32 divided by 1.80. Remember that you're going to take 100 minus 32 and hit your equal sign or put that in parentheses, one or the other. That's 68 divided by 1.80, which isn't necessary to write down on your paper, but I just did that so you could see the visual on it. Divided by 1.80, and you get 37.78 degrees Celsius. And we have 1 sig fig here, so we're going to round this to 1 sig fig. So we have the 30, the 10 spot where the 3 is, the 30 is, that we want to keep. This is a 7. Is it 5 or larger? Yes. So we're going to round that up to 40 degrees Celsius, and that's 1 sig fig. Okay. The next exercise is 35 degrees Celsius is what degrees in Fahrenheit? So I'm going to use my Fahrenheit formula, and that is temperature Celsius is multiplied by 1.80 and added 32 degrees to it. So it's 1.80 times 35 plus 32. So 35 times 1.8 is 63 plus 32, and that's going to equal 95 degrees Fahrenheit. So when it's 35 Celsius outside, and if you're thinking Fahrenheit, that's kind of chilly, you have to realize that that's about 95 degrees Fahrenheit in the real world. And that's what we're used to doing our temperatures by the outside temperature, and for your body temperature are in degrees Fahrenheit, which is an English unit, where Celsius came from Europe and is part of the metric system, and that's what we like to go with when it comes to doing chemistry problems, is Celsius and then into Kelvin. So the best way to get used to these, of course, just like all the other problems we've had, is to practice. So let's go to it.